Because this is what happens when the United States, since the early 1970s, is in permanent deficit with the rest.
There will be a lot of blood on the floor in various workplaces and manufacturing plants in the... That was a moment in history that exposed the role of economics today as not particularly different to that of the Bible in the Middle Ages, a provider of excuses for the powerful.
Varoufakis opens by pointing to a historic turning point. Since the early 1970s, the United States has lived in permanent deficit with the rest of the world. He argues that no empire can sustain that imbalance forever. When a major power keeps spending more than it produces, decline is not a possibility. It is a certainty. What makes his words so urgent is that he places this collapse not in a distant future, but right now. Factories are already closing, wages stagnating, and communities are suffering the consequences of a model that has been decaying for decades.
What I think the headlines should be is that we have a full-on trade war between the United States and its main trading partner, which is China. Those tariffs are beyond belief. They are huge Chinese walls between now.
For decades, the U.S. has sold the image of being the anchor of the global economy. Varoufakis calls this nothing more than faking stability. Behind the curtain, the illusion was fueled by endless debt, cheap imports, and the blind faith of the rest of the world.
The whole thing comes down.
It was the long tail, if you like, of 2008 and the financial crisis.
Exactly. It all starts in Wall Street.
The so-called global minotaur, once feeding the planet's growth, has been reduced to a hollow myth. And here lies the danger. Trust is the true foundation of the system. Once confidence fades, no amount of financial engineering can prevent collapse. In his eyes, that trust is already eroding piece by piece. America's survival, Varoufakis explains, has been based on a dangerous confidence trick. The country is buried under more than $40 trillion in debt, and yet its leaders act as if the party can go on forever. Instead of real solutions, Washington keeps printing, borrowing, and patching the holes. Wall Street celebrates record highs while Main Street disappears. For Varoufakis, this is not just about numbers, it's about psychology. The global system depends on faith in the dollar, and when that faith collapses, he warns, the entire financial architecture of the world goes with it.
Cracks in real time. While the dollar weakens, Wall Street cheers record highs, and the middle class quietly disappears.
One of the strongest warnings Varoufakis gives is about the trade war with China. Tariffs, he argues, were sold as a way to bring jobs back, but in reality, they've only driven up costs for consumers and businesses at home. The real issue is far deeper. America dismantled its own industrial base decades ago. Factories were demolished, supply chains outsourced, and the workforce that once built the backbone of the nation has disappeared. Even if politicians wanted to rebuild, the skills, infrastructure, and communities are no longer there. Tariffs can't fix what has been hollowed out over generations. Varoufakis pays special attention to Donald Trump's proposed economic plan, which he calls the Anti-Nixon Shock.
Let's face it, American industry, for better or for worse, depends to a very large extent for its manufacturing output on intermediary inputs from countries, particularly.
In 1971, Nixon broke with the gold standard and reshaped the monetary order. Trump, according to Varoufakis, wants to do something just as radical, but in a far weaker economy. A deliberate 30% devaluation of the dollar, combined with a 10% universal tariff on all imports, would send costs skyrocketing for ordinary Americans. Beyond the inflation risk, Varoufakis argues this would turn the U.S. into an economic war machine, weaponizing the currency and trade rules to punish allies and rivals alike. The fallout would not be stability, but chaos at home and abroad. Perhaps the most provocative part of Varoufakis' message is his vision of cloud feudalism.
Slavery is one that you volunteer to. This is an old saying from the Middle Ages. There's no doubt that it's all voluntary. No.
He argues that big tech corporations like Amazon, Google, and Meta don't actually produce anything physical. Instead, they harvest human attention, desires, and personal data. In his words, they are the new digital landlords, and we are their serfs. Every click, like, and post is a form of unpaid labor, enriching billionaires while ordinary people receive nothing in return. The castles of this new feudalism are data centers, the lords are tech moguls, and the currency is us. Our thoughts, our habits, and even our private lives. Varoufakis closes his warning with an unsettling conclusion. The collapse is not coming in the future, it's already underway. From the mountain of debt to the broken industrial base and the rise of digital feudalism, the evidence is in plain sight. While politicians continue to stage illusions of prosperity, ordinary Americans see their wages frozen, their jobs outsourced, and their power diminished. For Varoufakis, history is repeating itself. Great empires fall not when they expect it, but when denial prevents them from acting. The U.S., he warns, is already in that stage, a collapse unfolding in real time,